It's funny. Do you know what's so funny? If someone put a comment here, and that's what finished me. They said, "Jay's lighting be on point. Can you blame him from using what God gave him? It's just that." And then I just saw the light, and I said, "Yeah, you know what? They didn't even seen you, bro. And they knew your light was on point." But hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. I am here sitting down with Jay from Ready to Love season 3. I know many of you had your opinions, you had your thoughts, you had heart palpitations. Some of you were agreeing, some of you were disagreeing, some of you really liked Jay, some of you just wanted to hurt Jay. I don't know, some of you were triggered by Jay. I don't know what it was, but Jay caused a storm on season 3. Enough so that we are sitting down with Jay to get some answers today. He's promised me he's going to talk straight, no chaser. So guys, get ready, hold on to your seats, and let's have a real good conversation. Jay, how you doing today, man?
Man, bro, after that intro, I don't know if I need to act like my screen is froze or just dig in. I'm going to dig in, though. Let's go. I'm here for it, man. Look, I have a huge amount of respect for you and the way you interview and how you get deeper than the surface. I've seen a couple of interviews of the reviews that you've done on me, man, and I was like, yeah, you showed me some stuff. It was a great mirror for me, man. So I'm looking forward to this. I haven't done any interviews other than my live on my IG, and I couldn't pass on the opportunity. So thank you for the invite to be here. And let's go, man. Look, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it, and I'm here for it.
I appreciate it, bro. See how guys, he's trying to disarm me already with all the compliments. He's finishing me already. No. He's cerebral, He knows how to get me. He knows we're alike, innit? We're the same guy. We're the same.
Don't start with that cerebral ninja stuff. Real talk, but that's real. I'm a real authentic cat, man, and
I appreciate it, man.
In giving people their ups. I'll be honest with you. There's some things that I disagree with you about, and I've told you whatever.
Yeah, we spoke.
But as a man and as a brother. I respect you and what you're doing, man. And because I feel as if you're giving people the awareness to dig deeper and really analyze some things. And these shows are really good about showing us some things about ourselves that we may need to work on,
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it, bro. Love for that, man. Let's start the conversation, but we're going to start light. I always got to do my human verification. I got to make sure that the people I'm dealing with are human. So I'm going to ask you just a simple question to make sure you're human for us, bro. So the first question I want to ask you is, bro, it's a riddle. And here's a riddle. The riddle goes, how can you leave a room with 2 legs and return with 6 legs?
Bring 2 friends?
Sure. I mean,
or bring a chair.
Bro, do you know what? You're not human because I don't know how you got the answer. I don't know how you be reading my script.
That's pretty straightforward, man. I think you gave me the easy one for me to feel smart. I think you did that. I feel like you gave me on Welcome to a Millionaire, and then they start off with the dollar questions or whatever cases. I feel like you got me the dollar joint, man. You didn't give me the $5. You was like, you know what? He don't look that smart. Let me give him a little something so he feel good about himself.
Trying to draw you in. Trying to draw you in, bro.
Yeah.
Trying to make you feel good and really.
Yeah. My chest out. Put my Galvani chest up. You know what I'm saying?
Second question. I always ask this as well. Is it the cereal or the milk that goes in first?
You're gonna hate my answer. I don't drink cereal. I'm allergic to milk. So.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But if I were, cereal would go in first. You have no idea. I don't like wasting anything. So how can you know how much milk you need? And you might be on that Joker like Friday where you just run out of milk, you know what I'm saying? Or you run out of the other. So I would check the milk first and see how much I have, put the cereal in to get the right amount, then add the appropriate amount of milk.
Sensible answer. That's what I expect from a cerebral assassin, to be honest. I expect that.
Look, you go with the cerebral. I'm going to find a nickname for you, bro. Give me a little bit, and I'm going to find something for you. Go ahead.
Don't worry, bro. We got you. All right. My third and final question for our human verification is a song lyric. And if you can guess the person who's the artist and the song. The lyrics go, forget a bus, I bought a drop to... forget a bus, I bought a drop to tour on. G4's what I saw on. You thinking I ain't hot, you so wrong. Sorry for the prolong, but now life goes on. Charlie, the lyrics there were finishing me. I can't rap for nobody.
I'm assuming when you say forget, you actually mean another F word because it's hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, it sounds. I'm a big hip hop fan, and I'm almost disappointed in myself right now. It sounds like the way it's crafted. It sounds like a Jay-Z But I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. I was listening to the Blueprint album today, and it doesn't sound like I don't. It's not Biggie.
It's not Jay-Z, so you're right.
Yeah, but I'm wondering. But the newer hip hop guys, I'm not. I'm on some old school, bro. I'm still rocking 1995, and I was listening to Biggie Hypnotize, and I'm a little old school, man. It's young stuff. It might be some young stuff though, but I like the way it's set up. Who is it?
This actually is Mace. Breathe, stretch, and shake.
You went back. You went back to my era,
bro. Listen. That those shoes right there.
Yeah,
different, bro. Different.
But I had the right record label though.
You was close. Yeah, you was close, man. I thought you was gonna get it. I thought you was gonna say it.
Yeah, it was Bad Boy, but but you know what? A lot of times, okay. Some of them had the same writers for different. I don't know whether Mace wrote all of his or not, but yeah, okay, cool. All right, so I'm 2 out of 3 verified to be
human.
Good,
man. You human, right. Bro. You human. Right. You human. If you had got all 3, I would have said you're an android, but you human. So,
based on my emotions on the show, I think most people probably would have thought 3 out of 3 and being an android. So that's
why we call you cerebral assassin. I'm going to keep saying it all thing. So, Mr. J, let's get to know you a little bit because obviously everybody knows you from the show, but I want to know who Jay is because we can speculate and look at you on the screen and make our own decisions, but I really want to get to know who Jay is. So Jay, if you could tell us who is Jay and what is Jay's story?
I feel like you're Adriana's dad asking me if I'm a human. So for me, and I really don't like talking about myself, bro. So I'm a dad first, man. I'm God's son first. I am my parents' son second, and third, I'm a father. I've got 2 amazing kids, and everything I do is with the thought of them first, just as a dad. And I have a little girl that's a teenager now, and my son is a toddler. So those are my biggest pieces of myself. And then after that, I'm a business owner. I've been in real estate. My father was in real estate, and he was in commercial real estate. He's one of the first the only African American in his class. At TCU, he got his MBA in finance and things like that, and I kind of followed in his footsteps in the real estate. And so actually, he was when I opened my brokerage, he was actually my first agent in my brokerage, which was a huge thing for me, man, because it's a legacy thing. And so a lot of the things that I do as far as my thought process, my analytical mindset, really comes from my dad. That's me, man. To cut it short, that's it. I'm simple. My daily life is, gym, family, and work. I get up with an extreme spirit of gratitude every morning. Just to be alive right now is a beautiful thing. Like we sleep on it. No pun intended, but we sleep on it. And just to be alive right now and be able to have access to just running water. One of my old assistants used to always tell me, like, if I was kind of like, oh man, this isn't right. She's like, Jay, 3rd world problems, man. Like we're having 1st world problems. And that would bring me back to there's someone in some country right now that doesn't even have access to clean water. And the water that we're going to the bathroom in is water they would love to drink at. Like when you look at that, you have to be grateful for just the simple things in life. So I'm definitely, I live my life in a spirit of gratitude. That's why I'm always smiling and happy all the time. Man, I don't worry about this stuff, but whatever. You can hate me, cool. That's cool. What's up? I'm still alive though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, obviously, I remember you said that as well on the show. Yourself and Winter were talking about practicing the spirit of gratitude as well. So you did mention that in the show as well. Yeah. I guess obviously you want to take it a little bit further back then, because I like I said, I've nicknamed you Cerebral Assassin. That just means that you're smart, you're intelligent, you strike with precision. Sure. But has Jay always been like that? Like, I mean, take us back a bit further. So before you came on the show, let's go back way back. Okay. Jay as a child. What was Jay like? What was childhood like for Jay?
About everything. My parents always. I remember asking why all day. Like you say something, why? Okay, answer that why. It would be like 15 whys in, and my mom or my dad, like one of them would finally just give up, like, you know what? Because I said so, damn it. You know what I'm saying? like stop asking. And my whole life, they're like, just be an attorney, please, because I wanted to understand things from kind of like a cellular perspective. How things worked, and I would break things and want to put them back together. Like if something broke, I would want to put it back together. And I always wanted to understand the inner workings of things. And then my first major in college was psych. I just love the way that to understand the way people react in situations. And once we understand each other better, it helps us really get along. Like, we're not that different. We are not that different, bro. I've never met you in person. You've never met me in person. But there's some parts of us that are not that different, other than our skin color. You know what I mean? And so I just see life through that perspective, man. For me, as a kid, I just remember those moments of, always kind of analyzing things and, well, why does that happen that way? And why does this do that way? And I overthink stuff all. If I have one of the things that's pulled me back in business is that I originally had analysis paralysis because I would just think through everything.
Decision,
and I just mess around and not move. And, whether it was a success or a failure, I had missed the boat. So bringing it to this show, I was one of those things but it also has taught me to just sometimes just say yes. Just go. Pray about it. God don't say no, and you just move now. Go. Because if you think about it, opportunity's gonna be gone. So yeah, I was that kid that wanted to break through, understand everything. And I played piano, I played cello, I sang. I was a music kid, man.
Jeez.
Yeah. If I pan over here, my piano's in the house, man, and when I had apartments, I know my neighbors hated me because I was singing in the shower and just praising every morning and just part of that spirit of gratitude and just lifting up, So and played sports, played football, played soccer, athletic kid for sure. I just had natural, abilities when it came to that. But my parents were amazing where I had to make straight A's if I wanted to play sports, and that taught me that put the education first. During the summer times, my mom was like, oh, yeah, y'all ain't about to be up in my house making babies. What you're going to do is be in summer school. So even if you made straight A's all throughout the year, you were in summer school. And so that taught me a work ethic of you never stopped. Learning is continual. And so I've carried that on in my fatherhood with my agents in my office. We were probably one of the most educated offices because education is a part of everything. Everything is a teaching experience. This show for me was a huge teaching experience, man. Just seeing myself and saying, you know what, I need to be better that way. I need to be more honest and transparent, right? Watching you say that about me was a huge learning part. So it's always learning.
Damn. Did you? So as a kid, obviously, when you're going into summer camps and summer schools and stuff like that, did you not feel at the time like, rah, man, just wants to chill and I just want to be able to chill and just be with my friends and stuff like that?
I didn't know that. You only know what you've been exposed to. Okay. From day one, I was never exposed to that. So even when I got to college during the summertime, I would go pick up a trade. Got my A+ certification in computer and building computers. And then the next one, it was like, all right, cool. We're going to do this and do that. And that's actually how real estate came about. Real estate was something that I did in the summer once during a break in college, and I fell in love with it. I wasn't taught that. I think kids nowadays are taught that, you can kind of be mediocre and it's okay. That's okay. You didn't pass, whatever. I used to mentor one of the kids. Actually, if you saw it, I helped him buy his first gun the other day. He's like 27 now, but I've been mentoring him since he was 14. And, he came from a spirit of, okay, as long as you're passing. My daughter came home and she was like, well, I passed. What the hell does that mean? Like, did you get A's? If she were to come home and say she got a 95 on her exam or she got a 75, my continual answer to her is, did you do your best? I don't care about what the world says about what you did. Do you know that you did your best? And that's how we measure whether you're successful or not what the world tells you success is. And that's how I grew up, right? So I don't worry about what somebody else thinks because what you think is going to be based on your past experiences, whether you're a Capricorn or Aquarius or, whatever, stuff that I have no control over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Damn. Okay. So obviously,
my answers, man. I always keep it 100, man. So I'm sorting my answers though, because we got an hour. So I'm looking at the ticker.
You did all right, bro. You did all right, bro. No. Obviously, because obviously you filled in quite a bit. So that's because obviously what you're talking about is someone who obviously strives for greatness. Someone is always striving to be better. Someone's always striving to achieve and be successful. Let me ask a little bit about you're in real estate at the moment, right?
Yeah.
What skills or traits do you feel that you have that makes Jay successful at what you do?
I think it's that same thing that you've never achieved the level of perfection isn't a thing. There's a pursuit of it, but you're never going to be perfect. That also allows me to give myself grace when I need it. And that's hard for me sometimes because I have a high expectation of myself. but that also allows my client experience to be better. It allows me to keep pushing forward and to constantly thrive for that next thing. So with real estate, I started off as an investor. Really getting my license was really a paid internship for me to understanding the contracts and knowing how to do a deal without putting my own money up. And then I fell in love with the service part of it because, people are buying usually the houses, and we talked about home ownership, just a little while ago. Your house is usually the biggtake investment that you have. Most people aren't driving a $300,000 car. You don't have $300,000 in stocks, but because real estate is highly leverageable, meaning that I can take 3% to put down at 9,000, right, and then I can buy a $300,000 asset. Then home ownership becomes that achievable for people. But at the same time, it's the most expensive thing that they own, and so there's a huge responsibility to give people what they want. No, I'm playing with you. But there's a huge responsibility to, man, these people need somebody that really gives a dang about them to help, especially people of color at the time when I joined, and it came from me actually going to buy my first house. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I was just listening to what the builder sales rep was telling me, which was wrong, but he was telling me these things from his perspective. And so that stuff that, me wanting to learn more about stuff and dig deeper and, and I'm a protector, man. Like, I'm that friend that, shows up and I got your back 100%. And so for my clients, I'm that same exact way. We're going to push this through and I'm going to fight for you. And we're going to get you what you're looking for. I wanted to say it. We're going to,
he's like, you're going to say it again.
I'm going to say, I'm going to give you what you want about 10 times, Yeah. So, yeah.
But put on a t-shirt. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, then I got to ask this question, Jay.
Come on.
Good looking guy, handsome, smart, educated, in shape. Yeah. You're about your business. You handle it correct. Everything like that.
Okay.
Someone might ask, so why is Jay currently off the market at the moment? Why hasn't Jay, found someone at the moment? Because you're obviously a very handsome man. You're about your business. That's what I'm trying to say, bro. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. What you see, I don't see. Because I see what I talked to you about earlier, which is constantly being in better shape, constantly improving the things that I need to work on, constantly, being a better man, being a better father, being a better son, being a better Christian, all those things. And so I'm continuously in the process of trying to be the best in those. Why am I single? I found some amazing on the show. I found some amazing women, right? But I was also married previously, and I feel like your first marriage, I was 30 when I got married. And so I had a good idea of who I was, but I didn't, as a man, I feel like we mature on a slower level than women do, unless you're in certain environments to where you're forced to, right? And so, especially even having 2 kids, like my daughter, I feel like is Brainiac. My son, I think I needed a helmet for in the beginning. And I was like, oh, he just gets slower. You know what I'm saying? Like we just get stuff later, and so for me, I just really feel like I'm looking for that right thing. I know that when God provides it for me, I'll see it. And through the experiences that I've had, then I'll be able to say, all right, man, this is what it is. But what I'm focused on is really becoming the man. I feel like everybody focuses on, I need this and I need that. And I want a girl that's blah, 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 blah. She needs to be able to rub my back when I get home and my feet and cook and blah, blah, blah. Cool, bro. But what kind of man are you to deserve it? Focus on you. So my father taught me, man, focus on being the man that you need to be. And then the woman that you need, that God has for you will show up. But our job is to lead, right? And so I need to put myself in a position where I'm ready for her. And so even like the show, like I told you earlier, looking at myself and looking at some of those things that, man, I need to do better at that. I need to be a better listener. I need to be more honest rather than transparent, right? And so those things are things that I like. And that's a long answer. But the short answer is I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah. I wouldn't have gone on the show if I wasn't ready. I think I told, it might have been Joy on the show, but I always believe that everything that we deal with in life leads us to where we're supposed to be. So all the experiences of the show, the experience prior to the show, like for example, when I meet whoever I'm supposed to be married to, or whenever I realize if I've already know them, when we decide to get married, everything that she went through, every ex-boyfriend, all the drama that she went through, the whatever it was, abuse, whatever, led her to me. If it wouldn't have been for those things, we would have never found each other. And so it's all about the journey. There's a book called God dog it, I can't think of it right now. I'll think of it in just a moment. But it's all about. It just taught me that it was all about the journey. It's my favorite book of last year, and for some reason I can't think of it. But yeah, so
I hear that. I hear that. I guess obviously, I mean, we heard on the show as well, obviously, that you had previously been in marriage before.
yeah.
It didn't quite work out. I mean, without blowing you up your spot, I guess I want to ask, what for you were the factors that contributed towards it not working out?
I'll never put my ex-wife on blast because that's
Yeah.
not, so that's the reason why you're not going to get 100% answer from me on
I
that is
understand.
because I can only talk about my side of it.
Yeah.
Maturity, I think I was there. Financially, I was there. Leadership wise in the household, I probably needed some work on. Even though I saw my parents have this amazing relationship and they're still married after, I think 48, 49 years. And my grandparents on both sides stayed married. And so I saw these great relationships and I also saw the flaws of those relationships, right? And so in my marriage, there were some things that I thought were really important that my wife didn't think were important. And so what I learned from that is that, say if I think, oh, she needs to feel protected, and protected means physical protection. And so I'll have guns in the house and I'll work out and I'll make sure that I can, take on attackers or whatever case, right? But her need for protection may be emotional protection. So me doing all the most on, being a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and all that stuff, I'm barking up the wrong damn tree. You know what I mean? And so I think it comes from listening to your mate and not assuming because of all these, what I saw my grandfather do on both sides and my father do, she may have different needs based on her experiences. And so what I learned from that is you really have to listen. Just because I may have 5 homegirls that say, I want a man that's this and that, and he's got great shoulders and he can protect me. That don't matter because that isn't her experience in life and she hasn't had those same things. And so that's what I left with my takeaway from my marriage is just really listening to whoever that person is and making sure I'm ready in those areas. So if I've been in the gym, 7 times a week and working on strength, but she needs me to be an emotional protector, then that means I need to be at the therapist rather than the gym.
I guess I can ask you a question before we go into the actual show then. So obviously what I'm hearing is, because you mentioned quite a few times, an example you used was emotional protector and sense, etc. Yeah. For you, do you feel like that is something that you are trying to work on currently? So that the side of you where, because I think Joy spoke about being more romantic in a sense, right? Because us guys, let's keep it true. Us guys sometimes, depending on what we've gone through in life, there's parts of us that we can turn off because, we go into the provider mode, we go into protector mode when it comes to physicality, but the emotional side is not always easy to access. Yeah. But from hearing you speak, I didn't hear anything ominous that happened in the past in terms of that would affect your emotional kind of maturity growing. So what for you was influencing the emotional, I don't want to say emotional maturity, but that where you could able to understand that she may need emotional protection? What for you was influencing you perhaps not to be able to do that as you needed to do?
In reference to which relationship?
Just in terms of the past one, the marriage sense.
Because there's so much I'm not saying it because of
I understand,
that.
Yeah.
So it's I use that as an example, but I don't think that was the thing in that relationship. We went to 3 different counselors and all that type of stuff, and at the end, one of the counselors like, dude, you're just gonna have to file for divorce. What you're I'll answer it this way, and it's not a direct answer to your question. It's not to curb your question, but that just wasn't the thing in that relationship. But for my marriage, I had an idea based on my upbringing. That's what, because I saw those great relationships, not perfect, but I saw those great relationships that my parents and grandparents had, and they were able to stay together, until they died, right? And in my marriage, I had one idea of that's what my idea of a successful marriage was. Her idea of successful marriage was something totally different because she had different upbringing. And so there were some wounds from that I thought that my love could overcome, because I'm a love, I show up, bro. I don't give myself a lot of credit for stuff. but when somebody is in need, I show the heck up.
100%.
I just come from that type of family where we will love the hell out of you. My mother is such a, she will like, if my mom met you tomorrow, she gonna cook you your favorite meal. It's gonna be bomb as hell too, by the way. She gonna bring you to her house. Hey, baby, what you need? Blah 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 blah. She gonna give you a shirt off her back. And so I don't know anything else because she's such a strong presence in my life that's just automatically how I show up to people. You know, there was we had like this men's prayer breakfast with Edwin and Anthony and this and that from the show. And Edwin was in pain about some things, you know, from dealing with fatherhood. And I'm literally crying along with him, and we're working through some stuff. And honestly, man, if I didn't find a relationship that was great, like I did with Joy, I was like, okay, this is why God had me be here. I only know how to show up for people that are close to me in that way. And so, yeah, but that's it.
Because I see that we're quite similar. Let me rephrase my question. Emotional vulnerability.
Ooh.
Because in the show, like I said, I can see. Okay, so for instance, me and you, we've talked and we caught jokes, we've spoken, and like we're very very similar. So that's why I'm going to ask this question: how emotionally vulnerable is Jay? Yeah,
depends on who it is. You saw me be very emotionally vulnerable with Joy, but you didn't see me be as emotionally vulnerable with Winter because it takes. I am one of those people that I was raised where, you know, your friends are that word is something that is an earned title and not an automatic title, meaning that once you've seen certain behaviors from someone, then you open up. And so sometimes I've had to unlearn that because life isn't always that way. And you might meet somebody that, you know, in 2-3 months, y'all have a vibe like y'all have known each other a lifetime. But in those moments, and I think I know exactly which moment you're talking about, where Winter asked me a question that nephew Tommy had set up on our date, and I just didn't feel comfortable with her at that point in our friendship. At that point, we were just getting to know each other more, and me and Joy kind of had a head start, and so I was more comfortable. And if Joy had asked me that question at that point, I probably would have answered the question differently and been vulnerable. I was not comfortable being vulnerable right then and there because it was so new, and I didn't know how. I knew that she had this nurturing vibe and this loving vibe, but I hadn't. There was something basically that I saw, but it wasn't something that I had a lot of deep experience with her because we hadn't gone down that road yet because we hadn't spent a lot of time together. And that date was the one where nephew Tommy was like, okay, you're the person that you like second, then, you know, let's spend time with them to get to know them better. So I hadn't known her more then, and so I didn't open up in a way in which I would with somebody else that I no longer.
Since we're on the topic of the show already, do you feel? I'm asking some questions now. Do you feel that Joy broke the walls of Jay? And here's what I'm talking about: walls.
Facts.
There are, you know, the different banks in it. So I want to make sure. So did Joy break the inner walls of Jay to get into you? Like I'm talking about not because when we chat, we have our own kind of our own vibe, right? There's a salesman Jay. Salesman Jay will give you the what he's give you. Now the JJ, I'm talking about the one that's in the relationship that's gonna love uninhibited, not the one that he knows, because I know your mom and dad are loving people and they've taught you how to love, but I'm talking about the Jay where you expose everything to that person. Did Joy get to that center? That's what I want to know, because that's where was my emotional vulnerability. Did she get to that center?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you how, because one of the biggest things for me, and probably the primary thing, other than, you know, meeting the love languages or whatever case requirements, right? And with Joy, we had this banter amongst ourselves, and more importantly, we had great conflict resolution. And so that's important to me as a man, and that makes me feel safe. Man, I'm getting deeper too, bro. I
said it's gonna get deep, innit?
Yeah, and I'm cool with it. I'm here for it. You know, the show is over, bro, so I can say what the hell I want to say without, you know, regard whatever, right? And so, yeah, she had a great way that we sat down and we would talk, and we just conflict resolution is a turn on for me. There's always going to be spats. You know, you might have a level 3 argument, right? 3 out of 10. Okay. how long does it take us to resolve that 3 out of 10? There's going to be some 9 out of 10s that come up at some point in this relationship, whether it's a 6-month or 10-year relationship. There's going to be some 9 out of 10s. I need to know that our 9 out of 10s, the reaction to the 9 out of 10 is a 9 out of 10 reaction, and the 3 out of 10 reaction is a 3 out of 10 reaction. Meaning that, okay, hey babe, you didn't call me today and I missed you, or let's say like a perfect scenario for me and Joy would have probably been, and this wasn't realistic, but I'm just saying this is probably how we would have ran through it. Hey, I didn't hear from you today. Her calling me. Okay. Sorry, babe, I was busy, blah, 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 blah. She might say, well, I missed you today. And so I would have like, you know what? At that, I'm sorry. You know what? I missed you too. I was just busy with work. And, I'll make sure that tomorrow I call you, even if I'm busy, and just shoot you a quick text message. I can take 15 seconds out of the day and send you a quick text message, even if it's while I'm on the way to the restaurant. Our conflict is done. And then we're moving on and we laughing. Right? The relationships where I don't feel safe in is where that happens, and then you mad at me for 3 days but I'm busy working. I'm at the office. We talked on the way in, so forth, so on. And so that's just one of those things for me where I feel safe when I know that we can resolve conflict very easily, because I don't have time, nor do I want to take the time to go through 10 out of 10 reactions on a 3 out of a 10, issue.
So is that what took you away from Simone then?
Big facts. I didn't see those things that would make me feel safe in a relationship to be able to be the man that I wanted to be, because I saw, okay, I have a little conversation with you and then it gets blown out of proportion for the next 2 to 3 days. And there's actually a scene, the one where she says she cussed me out, which never happened. And there was like 5 or 6 other people that were there that were witness to it. And actually Denise was there. And actually, it was one of those things where it was like, you're really coming to me and telling me about this big romantic kiss that we had, but it was a kiss on the cheek. And so anytime I do something very small, it gets blown out of proportion, and I have to spend the next 2 to 3 days in drama. Nah, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that. I think she's an amazing woman. She's super intelligent, which is attractive to me. But at the end of the day, I just don't have the time nor the bandwidth to go through that on a regular basis. I don't, and I choose not to. My life is peaceful, bro. The people that I have around me are amazing people, man. And we just spend time learning and building each other. I want to focus on building. All that tearing down stuff, man, I don't have time for that. I want peace. Man. So I didn't see that.
Do you feel like there's any, I don't know, you can tell us yourself. Do you feel like, with, like, for instance, the Simone situation, I know she blew you up, put you on the spot and stuff. But the way, I think you might have watched a review where I said, obviously, the way you handled it when she asked you, what we saw in the clip was that you deflected. So instead of answering the actual question, when she said, obviously, about, did you go into witness room, etc., there was a deflection. The deflection was, you said, we haven't even had a conversation today, and this is what you're bringing to me. So the answer should have been, yes, I went into witness room, and maybe you could have said, and so what? Go on. Give us a little highlight of that.
In my real life, bro, I don't even know you. I'm not answering a question to you. Like, and that's not to be rude, but I'm a grown ass man. Winter's a grown ass woman. Why are you here with me? And your only reason is to try to, mess up what me and this young lady are having and developing, when you don't even talk to me on a regular basis. Right? And so why do I owe you an answer about what me and somebody else were doing when it's not of your concern? Just to be honest. You know what I mean? And so that was and that may sound brutal, but it's not meant to be. It's really about, if you ask me a question, fam, and I'm going to answer your question because you're engaging with me directly as a man.
Yeah. Right?
And we're in a conversation. But if you haven't talked to me all week, and all of a sudden you ask me, hey, man, so how much money you got in your bank account? What? We haven't talked all week, fam. Why would I answer that question to you? Now you worried about what's in my account? It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with that part. Yeah.
And so in my real life, I wouldn't answer that question. And
do you feel like she had? Do you feel like she had? Because obviously that wasn't the only reason why she asked the question. It's not just because she saw Winter go into it. It's because she said that you give her a kiss. Now I don't know if she meant on the lips, but I think I've heard you say it was on the cheek. So she
answered it in your interview that it was a cheek.
Yeah, it's a cheek. So okay, so it was a cheek then. So it's a kiss on the cheek. She felt obviously like potentially that there was more going on with you two, and dirty little secret kind of situation came about, obviously. So she's looking at it like, oh, you know, you haven't put me out there in terms of like we're doing a little thing, and then I'm seeing you go into Winter's room, and so when I'm coming to you now, that's why she's coming to you. So although I know you didn't speak all week, she's seen it as like, yo, like we're meant to be doing something. So it's a bit odd to see you go into another person's room. I'm not saying that she's right or wrong. I'm just kind of presenting.
We didn't have. So this show is about like connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have we had some conversations with each other, but we never had, like, in my opinion, connection. And it just didn't develop that way. I didn't see those things that I would connect to that would make me feel safe being emotionally vulnerable, so forth, so on. And so there was, it was the, like, I want to say it may have been 3 or 4 days, and I may be wrong on that because right. You know, we're there for over a month, whatever case, or close to a month. And so it just wasn't one of those things where I just, why are we having a conversation? Like, for real, like, no diss. And at the end, I asked her, I was like, look, you know, we don't need to talk about anything. I'm good. I think you're an amazing person, but I don't need to have a conversation with everybody. And that's cool. And she's the only person I had that, like, even with Denise and none of that, I still talk to her, whatever. But, you know, and I spent too much time cleaning up level 3 stuff when a level 10, you know, it didn't make sense for me at all. And I can't see that in my life. That's not something that I would deal with on a daily basis once I get home. Why am I gonna pursue that there? Regardless of what you look like and how smart you are. If we don't vibe, we don't vibe. So there's no diss to her. I think she's an amazing person. But what works for somebody doesn't work for somebody else. And, you know, I voted for her the first day to stay there. I was surprised that she got voted up, that she almost went home. Okay. But I also then saw what the other guys saw. Because Tommy said something when it was in relation to, I think maybe Denise or something like that, like, not everybody shows that side of the other person to everybody. They show it selectively. So Denise may have seen the narcissism, but somebody else may not have. And it's because that they're going to react differently to certain people, right? And so what I saw, I think I was late on the boat of seeing that, because all the other guys, it was like, nah, I'm good from the first conversation. You know, which made me think, like, how did I miss that? You know, with being reasonably analytical, how did I miss that? So, yeah.
So from what it sounds like is there was an attraction to Simone, but you disqualified her from ever being in a relationship with you, in a sense of forming a connection that would be solid. That's what it sounds like.
I just didn't see us processing, like, what I talked about with Joy and even with Winter about the way we process conflict. I didn't see that. I saw the little bitty level 1 stuff turning into 10s, and then the stories that she would tell behind the scenes were like, why would you do that to somebody? Like, I'm a business owner, you know? So I think in the terms of, if I'm home and you're my wife and we have a small conflict somewhere, how big is that going to go? Right? I got kids. Are we yelling in the house? Are my kids seeing that? Now I have to deal with putting them in counseling or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to see those things that I think, like, at this point, it's not a woman's job to train me how to be a man.
Of course.
It's my job to be a man already, to receive her as a woman. And so if I don't see those qualities that I think that are easily translatable into my life, without me, like with Winter, our first conversation was like, we talked about legacy. We talked about the word. We talked about male and female, you know, responsibilities and relationships. It was easy. I was like, she could be wifey. Talk to Joy. She could be wifey. Those are my check marks at this point. I'm a man of a certain age, fam. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time to go back and do what we should have done in our 20s and 30s. It's my job also to have done my work in my 20s and 30s, so that way when I find a young lady, that she doesn't have to train me up. And so I need easily translatable into a relationship at this point. I don't have time to go back to college stuff.
It's interesting because obviously we're talking about we're talking about Joy, Simone, and obviously we haven't spoken about Winter much yet, but we're speaking. What's interesting is what I'm hearing is, for instance, when I spoke about emotional vulnerability, you went to conflict resolution within that. And I guess I'm trying to understand why that is so important to you? So, for instance, because like I said, I'm always trying to find the why. So,
I don't like to fight, bro. I like peace.
Why is that? So not because obviously none of us really. Some people like to fight. Let me not lie. Some people like to fight. What takes you? I'm trying to find out what happened that makes Jay to a point where when someone is showing that level of, let's say, conflict, as you were talking about the Simone thing. I mean, when I saw it, I said, I know she's gonna be disqualified from you. Yeah. But what makes Jay feel like, do you know what? That when someone can't really resolve conflict that well. What is it that takes you? Why is it that it takes you away from that person so much? Why is it such a turn off for you in that sense? That's what I'm trying to find out.
My goal in life is peace. My goal in life is to provide a peaceful household for my family. Right now, my family is my 2 kids. Right, my family is my parents. And so, in order for me to achieve that, we have to have a similar goal in mind. Right, and so if I see automatically that we ain't on the same page when it comes to that. Like conflict, for some people, they want attention. So if conflict is a way to get the attention, okay, cool. Which is what we saw in the young lady we're talking about, right? And so we're not compatible. I don't want to, because you feel like you need some attention right now, so you cause a fight. We're on different levels, right? I need a woman that's going to come to me and be like, hey, baby, I miss you today. Let's make sure tomorrow I feel like I get the attention that I need. Okay, babe, cool. I'm gonna text you every 10 minutes. That's what you need. I'm gonna give you what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta drop it at least 3 times, man. Like,
gonna get a t-shirt. I told you. Gonna get a t-shirt.
But for real, I mean, I have a daughter, and one of the things that's my responsibility as her father is to teach her emotional health, and I believe that she has a high emotional IQ. Because from the age when she was 2 is when I filed for divorce. And so from that, I took it as my responsibility to make sure that when she gets married, that man is already set up. And he calls me at some point, he's like, yo, bro, I appreciate you. I appreciate you because she already ready. Like, I ain't got to go back and do none of that stuff. That's my job as a father. And so if I don't think that you have that a woman has the emotional maturity that my teenager has, I didn't already raise one. I've already raised one. I'm not doing that. That's your job. It's my job to be emotionally mature. It's your job to be emotionally mature. And together we will be equally yoked and we can have an amazing marriage. But so coming from that, I and maybe it comes from having my divorce, that piece, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Man. I'm a lover, man. I want to spend time. Like one of the things that Joy said that when I watched back, I was like, yo, that's dope. Like and when our first interaction, she was like, she said something like, Jay, I'm building an empire. I don't want to do it all by myself. You know what I'm saying? I didn't take that as a financial empire. I took that as an emotional, spiritual, financial, like I made a post the other day about getting the bag. Everybody's focused on the financial bag. Dog, what's your emotional and mental bag?
It's true.
Right. And so to me, it's a whole house thing that I'm focused on. And when I came on the show, I had true intentions of, okay, if I'm gonna find my wife, cool. But if not, I'm gonna keep it pushing. Because that's the goal, bro. I don't need another woman to date. I need somebody to help me raise these kids, man.
No, I hear that. Okay, so because obviously I'm trying to get to know Jay that much more better in it, as well as I'm seeing on the show. Because like I said, everyone has their opinions on what they saw.
This is crazy.
I'm telling you, listen, this is getting deep, bro. Getting deep, bro. You know what I'm saying? For you, obviously,
that softball shit?
I'm sorry, bro. I hit it with 15 minutes, bro. I had, you know what I'm saying? I hit with a 15-minute softball. You know what I'm saying? We're now on a hard ball, spin ball, curve ball, everything, fast ball.
Right.
Do you think, because obviously I'm looking at the show and I'm looking at I'm looking at the ways that obviously I saw with Winter, and I know that she was overly emotional. I shouldn't say that. That sounds rude, but she was in relation to you, she would have been too emotional. Let me say that. So for a lot of people, she might have been okay, but for yourself and others, she would have been too emotional.
Right.
And then we obviously had Simone. I saw the Simone situation. Yeah, I knew that as soon as she confronted it, the way she confronted it, for most guys, that's going to be a no-go.
Yeah.
If you confront it that way, most guys will quit.
Yeah.
Then obviously there was Joy. Here's my I'm trying to get to.
Deep. Come on. Come on.
Does the intelligence that you have war with the emotion side of Jay?
Man, probably. Because I will overthink some things instead of feel. I think the difference in between, like just thinking about Edwin, right? He leads, he's a very smart guy, but he's also emotional. I am analytical and then feel, depending on the situation. You saw when Joy lost her sister, I was 100% emotional though. Like I was boo-hooing, bro. My eyes were red. I was messed up. I was messed up for the rest of the day. But like I said, it's not me crying. I'm talking about emotionally. Right?
Suddenly he's breaking down, guys. We got him. We got it.
Right. Got it.
Gotcha.
Yo, the robot. Breaking. Right. No, but I think you're right about that. I would definitely agree with that. And I've never had anybody say that to me, but I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Which is something that I'm working on. And if you saw, I complimented KG and I think Edwin.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I admire that in those men. And I think that God allowed me to be on there with those men for a reason, because people can show you something about yourself that you may want to work on. And in another environment, I don't think I would have noticed it as closely, but because we're in this bubble and I don't have work and I don't have kids and I don't have family and I don't have gym and all these other things, then I can actually see those things and be like, yo, Jay, yeah, we got to work on that piece, bro. I might have a mental piece and this part taken care of, but where's the emotional bag? Because your wife is going to need that from you. And my kids are going to need that from me. I think family for me is a little bit different because I lead to emotion first because it's all love. But when it comes to, I still have that analytical mind when it comes to my dating life. So I appreciate that, bro. Let me get some notes real quick.
No, do you know what? It's only because I noticed earlier, this is why I always ask about childhood. And you mentioned about summer school and there was no other thought or anything. You just it is what it is. That's what you got given.
Yeah.
And then that made me think, but as a child though, your summer is like one of the most important things. So the fact that you didn't see any problem, you just said, okay, if that's what's given, I don't know anything else, I'm just gonna go with it. Yeah. Made me think that if maybe as you've got older, you see things in a very linear, logical sense. Not to say that you're not emotional, because you know when to bring emotion. When you was dealing with Joy, you emotionally supported her. So we're not talking about we're not saying you're devoid of emotion. I'm saying that the intelligence that you have, if that's in a relation, the reason why maybe potentially Simone and Winter were not going to be great choices here was because the emotion they were bringing would have been conflict for you being such a logical person.
Oh, 100%. And I had that conversation with Winter. I had that conversation, I believe, with Joy. And I think that's one of the things that made me enjoy work, because as much as she can be an empath and feel, she also can be just as logical. And whether you believe in signs or not, we're both Capricorns. And so that part of us
don't work.
Does
it work?
Well, you're right. It just depends, right? Because once we both kind of get in our Capricorn, like, let's go. Then it's like, who's gonna fold here? You know what I mean? But because her logic versus my logic, and it's like, well, we just having a logic battle, right? But I think because she also had that secondary part where she can feel and she can lead with that, which I think you saw with how empathetic she was with Edwin, and really just kind of dig in and be present. Then there was that too, right? And so she has this great balance, which made us work. To where I remember there was a scene, and I was fish grease hot, bro. Y'all don't know this. I don't think I've ever had this conversation with somebody. So I was fish grease mad. Like I'm talking about. I don't know if you cook fish, but you got to get the grease real hot to make it crispy. You know what I'm saying? So we had this moment. It was the date, the friends date with Edwin, myself, Joy, Winter, and then their two friends. And so they didn't tell, like the people didn't tell me. I think there was a miscommunication. And so I'm in my room chilling, and I'm usually in a towel, bro. That's it. I chill. I'm on max and relax mode, right? And then we get a knock on the door. Hey, be ready in 5 minutes. What am I ready for? Be ready in 5 minutes. What am I getting ready for? What do I need to wear? Am I going to the pool? Am I going to eat? Am I going on a fancy date? Like, what am I doing? Just get ready. man, I'm a grown ass man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think there was just a miscommunication, which happens. You have all these different factors that are dealing with production and all that stuff, right? So we deal with that. I'm ready, and they're like rushing me. Where's your mic pack? Where's that? And I'm like, y'all just told me, and they had told everybody else. For some reason, my room was at the end of the hallway. So I think what happened is that there was, in the communication process, somebody forgot to tell Jay. Usually they give you a heads up. And so I ain't took a shower, nothing like that, or whatever cases. So I'm fish grease mad. By the time I get to the hallway, I first run into, Winter, and then I run into Edwin, and then I run into Joy. Joy looks me in my face and she's like, hey, calm down. Calm down. And she gives me a hug. I went from 10 to 3. She can disarm me. She was able to disarm me in that way. And so, and she's like, what happened? And I was like, da-da-da. She's like, yeah, well, I knew earlier this morning. So I was able to do hair and blah, 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 whatever cases. But I think, for me as an adult, and that situation was different for me because in my life, I know it's coming, right? I'm not having somebody that's half my age knock on my door and tell me to be dressed in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And so, but in that situation, I think she just had this amazing ability because we respected each other, and there was, and because we broke down information similarly, and we had that same kind of logic that she had the ability to do that where somebody else may not have. Yeah. So by the time I got to the pier, and I was cool, and it was just literally her looking me in my eye and saying, hey, it's cool, calm down, whatever, we're here, you're with me. Yes, ma'am. So yeah.
So she had basically a natural ability to be able to bring Jay down. She made you feel safe enough to be able to do that.
I think it was because what we'd established already. Right. I wouldn't come out and lead with that, but it was what we established, and there was because the way we had communication is so important for me in a relationship. And so the way that she was able to, because we communicated effectively, then that led into us being able to communicate about emotions and conflict resolution and all those things that are important in a friendship first and then in a relationship. And so we built some of the building blocks of a friendship very early that allowed us to pursue some of the other things, and her to trust me and me to trust her. Yeah, absolutely.
Question. Obviously,
this is the deep end of the pool.
This is a very deep end of the pool. We're really getting deep in there. Let me come out a little bit of it quickly, shallow it a little bit. So you had a situation with Winter. I said situation, but there was, obviously you had the likes of Winter and Joy. You had a choice to make, but you always made it very clear. And I'll be honest with you, you made it very clear who was number 1 and who was number 2, right? Yeah. There's a comment that Winter makes, and I'm gonna be real. She says, "I was looking to bow out, but Jay keeps on saying to me I should keep in." Basically, right? She says Jay keeps basically. This was on a reunion part 1. She was like, basically she was looking at a point. She's looking to bow out. But she's like, Jay is reassuring her to stay in. So she was making it as if that you, and I'll be real, this is what she put out. Next time I'll bring the clip.
No, I'm
not. No, I'm not saying the doubt it. I'm saying that that's what, it was a little small section. It was when she was saying she was feeling like Camelot. She was a side piece kind of thing. In that same section, she also says, oh, I was looking to bow out, etc., or looking to move away, but Jay's assuring me basically to stay in. So many people were feeling like, fair enough that you made Winter number 2, but why is it that you were then still trying to draw Winter in when you have made a number 2, that she's necessarily not your main priority at that point?
And when you see me thinking, I'm trying to go back, because this is literally probably at 6 months ago at this point, 5 months ago, whatever cases. And so the things that I'm more abreast of are the things that I've seen footage wise. And this was off of, if there was a conversation like that, it's off camera, right? And so I remember having conversations with Winter about the process of where we were. And she was like, well, why is Joy number 1 and I'm number 2? And I was like, I've had more conversations with Joy at this point. We just had that click. And there was a difference in emotional response. The way that the 2 women emotionally responded, that allowed for me and Joy, if we had an hour, we could spend and pretty much most of the hour talking about moving through a conversation. If Winter was upset about something, then we had to stop that conversation and deal with that and it took us longer to get our conflict resolution. And so there was a point in there where I was like, look, I've gotten down the street further with her. If because we haven't spent that much time, then once we spend more time, then I'll know if there's a possibility of you being the primary person. And I believe that's why at that point, for multiple reasons, for other people's stories as well, that they were like, hey, we're gonna have you guys spend time with your secondary person. Because we just hadn't spent that much time. I think was that me and Winter's first date? I think that was me and Winter's first date at that point, right? Yeah, I believe so. I don't think me and Winter and I had other dates. I don't remember us having other dates. So I just hadn't spent as much time with Winter, and that may have been by choice. At night, me and Joy and I would actually sit up and have these great conversations at night by the fire pit and just laughing our butts off and spitting out water when we're just crying, and because we had that connection early, and so that actually probably didn't allow for the connection with Winter to flourish as much, because I spent so much time talking to Joy.
Can I hammer it a little bit more?
Go for it. I'm here for
it. Just because I know you kind of answered a little bit, but did you know? Okay, because it sounds crude, but it's
no.
For me, it's a game. It's a game, innit? So I always see the game as a game, and I think human behavior is human behavior. So, but obviously you knew Winter was number 2, but it sounds like you kept her in, like you kept her from moving completely away. I'm just saying that because obviously similar to Adriana, the same thing. She knew what she was doing with Rashid. I'm gonna be honest. She knew what she was doing with Rashid. Kalfani knew what he was doing with Adriana. Everybody knows what they did. We are grown ass folks.
I respect you, but I disagree with you.
Flo, go on. Tell us why.
And part of that is because you never hear me talking about this word production, because I respect the network's process and what they do in the show that they put on, and I feel like there needs to be a certain amount of secrecy to what they do on their side, so that way the viewer can thoroughly enjoy the process, and that's why out of anybody in the cast, you've heard me talk probably the least about production, right? I respect what they do. There's also, but I will say this, that there were parts where Joy and I were like, hey, how come we can't get any dates? And they wouldn't give us dates together.
Yeah, I heard this as well.
And they want you to have secondary options because that makes the show work.
I agree.
And so I can't speak for Adriana, but I know for our situation, when it came to Joy and I and things like that, that the part of the decisions were delayed when it came to, in my real life, I ain't got time to be dating 3 women, bro. I don't have time to date 2 women. It just, me, I choose not to have the emotional bandwidth and allocate that much space to dating multiple women. It's 2-3 sets of emotions. It's 2-3 sets of, I don't. I want to get, okay, this sounds like that works for me. Cool, I'm gonna rock with that, and spend time getting to know that woman. So to answer your question, it wasn't that way. I'm very straightforward. And I like, hey, if this doesn't work, then I understand. If there's anything that I said that would lead to that, it would have been, I've been further down the process with Joy because we've spent more time. I don't know what it looks like if me and you spend more time together. And if that was contributed to that, then that's the answer. But other than that, there weren't any more statements of, oh, well, just hold on, baby. I never downplayed anybody's relationship and or my connection with anybody. You heard Joy say on the show, yeah, he told me when it was dope, and this and that. Seeing it is different, right? But the verbiage that I gave was, she's dope, we have a connection, so forth, so on. Same thing when I saw her connection with Edwin. I didn't know that they had that deep of a connection.
Yeah, I agree.
But that also didn't mean that she kept anything from me. Seeing is different. When you see a full video or something, if I say, hey man, I accidentally kicked the cat, as I was walking across the street, and then you see the video, you're like, this dude really just kicked the cat, right? And it's just a different reaction, and so I think that those were the things that kind of may have made each other. It's emotional, bro. You literally do, whether Winter was my number 1 connection or not, we still had a connection. And so,
Yeah,
you
true.
know, and same thing with, you know, I'm sure Edwin and Joy and so forth, so on. It just, it's a different process, man. You never will be in a situation in which you're dating somebody while you're cool with the people that they're dating, and then they're dating that person, and you're dating somebody else that they're cool with.
Winter obviously clearly was definitely involved with you. She was really caring about you. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was enamored. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she was deep
Okay.
to the point where she was really wrestling with the point of trying to say, you know, it was a hard choice for you that you had to go and see Joy. Da, 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 da. I mean, she kind of almost, she didn't want to blow you up, but she blew you up a little bit, but she wouldn't blow you up, right? And then
Yeah.
she was like, okay, when you kind of said, when you had your bags packed, etc., etc. Then
Yeah.
we have the situation where she said, you know, where you guys obviously I haven't said about the room situation, the walk thing. You get me? I don't know. Obviously, I know that obviously at nighttime, no cameras. This is the only time you guys were finishing
Yeah.
filming at 1 o'clock most nights, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to ask you. That's grown folk business. But I'm saying obviously in the sense of there's a few contributing factors here that are showing that there was a huge connection between you and Winter. That
We had a real connection. And I don't think that I ever, and you can tell me, and I'll, you've seen all the footage.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a point where I downplayed my connection with Winter, and I'm not going to do that now. I respect her highly. I appreciate her, you know, her going down this journey with me together, because for me, it's what is the best fit. And you have to, part of the show is going through the process of figuring out what that is. That's why you go on multiple dates and this and that and all the above to get to know each other on a deeper level. And so I will never downplay the connection that the Winter and I had. She's just an amazing woman. It ended up working out to where Joy and I had a stronger connection, because I really feel like the way that we see the world a little bit differently, and it's less of an emotional, it's more of a, you know, like you say, a linear approach to understanding things.
So is that why she didn't get a proper kiss then? Is that why she didn't, you know, because
Did you just bring
see,
up the kiss, bro? Like,
but I had to, man, bro. I had to make the little
you
kiss and
snuck
what
that
happened
in.
there.
Like that was like
I wait to the final quarter.
You know?
I wait for the final quarter, bro.
You know, and I know you've heard me answer it this way, and I answered it this way on the reunion. Is that I really, you know, I'm not the type of brother that's gonna kiss multiple women in a short period of time. First of all, it's nasty. It's COVID out in these streets, and it wasn't a COVID concern. I just am not that way. In my real life, there's no way that I'd go out on a date with a woman on a Tuesday, tonguing her down, and then on Wednesday for lunch, I'm tugging somebody. I'm just not that kind of guy. And once I had committed that way to the person that I wanted to commit that to, which was Joy, there was no situation in which I was going to kiss Winter the next day. And you probably have the follow-up question is if the dates would have happened in a different, you know, order, would it have been a different result? That I don't know. It really was about the vibe. You saw the date with Joy and I, and we had a dope vibe on that date. We were just laughing and having a good time, and you know, it just flowed well because we had already established a major, you know, connection to that point. When I got to Winter's date, this was, you know, what it was like, okay, you'll learn about the other person that you're interested in. So we hadn't developed to that point yet. So a kiss was very, you know, there's not a relationship in which I would be at kiss level. And I sound like a prude. I did say clutch my pearls with Joy, but I don't think many men wear pearls. I'm just not that type of person, man. And I understand where she was, and it was a moment. And I get that it was a perfect moment. And then I said some dumb stuff like
that Lady in the Tramp out here.
You know what I'm saying?
It.
Like so,
almost.
And I'm 100% responsible for that. And that's that one thing that I would definitely do differently. It was a half joke, and I'm a big joke. So you know, I'm a big joke. You know, I'm smiling, having a good time, but I didn't realize the effect of that being such a setup. And I don't think that it probably would have been different because it would have been the same disappointment if I didn't kiss her. And I don't know if she knew that I had kissed Joy the day before. So maybe if she knew that, maybe she wouldn't have asked, right? And so that I can't remember, but you know, she's just an amazing woman, man. Like Winter is off the chain amazing. And I'll always say this show. I did not think, and I told the production before we went, and I was like, I don't think you're gonna find somebody that I really vibe with. Like I'm so selective. You know what I mean? And to find two women that I vibe with, I was like, okay, so y'all pulling tricks out the hat. That's what y'all doing, you know? Yeah. So it wasn't a diss to Winter by any means, but I definitely would not have. I'm gonna give you what you want. That was a good TV moment, but it was not a responsible, emotionally responsible moment for me. It was not, and that's the one thing that I regret out of all of the other things that I did on the show is saying that as a lead-in. Even if it wouldn't have changed, the disappointment was the kiss, not in what I'm gonna give you what you want. But I think there was a somewhat of a setup that was unintentional, but I'm definitely responsible for it because it came out of my mouth.
2 questions left then. Was that the one and only kiss?
Oh, you smiling before you even ask this. That's when you know somebody up to some no goodery. Come on.
I gotta set it up, you know what I'm saying? Was that the one and only kiss that you and Winter shared?
There was probably some other. The makeup chair thing was my thing, right? And so I think Naya, who was like the homie, Chef Shay was the homie, Winter, Joy, and then of course my first original love interest. I don't say love interest, but one of my number 3. All of those women, I would, when I passed by, because we were so cool, they would have their eyes closed in the chair, and then I just give them a kiss on the cheek. And with half of those, it was cheek to cheek, and the other half, it was probably, but it was just literally like, Jay, you so silly, boy, whatever cases, right? And so if there was another kiss, it was there in the makeup chair.
So was there no other? So that's what I'm asking. So was there no other? So aside the chair kisses, because I know you gave some kisses on the cheek to a lot of people.
That's it.
I'm talking about you and Winter. Yeah. Was there no other kiss? So I want to make it very clear.
Yeah, no other kiss.
No other kiss between you and Winter. There was no other kisses. No other kiss. None of that. Lip snip away and anywhere else. We keeping it.
No.
Okay, that's fair enough. You know what I'm saying? I just asked that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a valid question.
You know what I'm saying? Because the way she is, I know she's a little bit emotional, but the way she was really feeling you, bro. Like I don't know. What you must have dropped some serious game on her or what, bro? Because she was in deep.
Yo, no.
Even though she was second.
Let me.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me be clear. We had a dope vibe. Like we laughed, and like I said, we got deep early, and that's what I appreciated about it because we were able to have serious conversations about. I told you our first conversation at the mixer was about religion. It was about legacy, and like 2 or 3 other things that are like probably 5th date questions. 5-year plan, that type of stuff. We got deep quick, and so I cut for Winter. I just had such a great connection with Joy. If it wasn't for the connection with Joy, then it would have easily been Winter, right? But me and Joy had just like I think if it wasn't for the connection with myself, that Joy would have had, it would have been Edwin, right? Because they vibe. We saw it. They had a certain amount of chemistry, and Edwin is such a dope dude. Like I can very easily see why. And if she would have chosen Edwin, I've been the first one dancing at their wedding, man. I want everybody to win. Like seriously. Like black love is beautiful. I want everybody to win, whether that's business or in your personal life or whatever cases. And so each one of those people I have a huge amount of respect for. And that's just how I am, man. So to answer your question, with Winter, the difference I think is the way I carry emotion and the way she carries emotion. And so you may see her seem like she's deeper into it and feeling the connection more. Of course, I was her number 1 connection, right? And then I believe it was Edwin and then Anthony, and then that changed and it became Anthony. But we got along very well. And, and I think it had to do with the ways that we connected on the spiritual and religious and emotional piece, whatever cases. Those are important things at this point in life. You can have a great shape and do all that type of stuff, but if we ain't connecting on a spiritual level, or if we're not connected on a mental level, then all that stuff doesn't make any sense for me. It's nice to look at, It's cute. But at the end of the day, I'm a grown man, and I want a woman that we can have some deep conversation with. If I'm anything, I'm sapiosexual. And if you look at all the women that you know, I connected with, they're extremely intelligent, and that's a huge thing for me. If not, what are we gonna talk about? I ain't talking about bubble gum and candy. I want somebody we can talk about stock options and then what we're gonna do with our family and how we're going to make sure that our kids are emotionally okay and and make sure that they got 800 credit scores at the age of 17 and that type of stuff. Like that's the stuff I'm on. All that other stuff is a waste of time, bro.
And my last question then to end it, it's about Winter still. She said,
so we're definitely doing a 2-part because
you already know.
Yeah,
you already know.
It's just
I'm about to bring you on again.
Right.
My last question on this is to do the reunion again. I'm not going to go too far back. Just a reunion.
Okay.
She says okay. Now my experience of women saying okay
Absolutely.
is that there is some bull coming behind that. Like there's fire, there's evidence, there's receipts or something that they're willing, they're holding back.
Yeah.
So is there anything that I'm not saying you need to tell us. I'm saying should we be aware that something is awaiting behind that okay? Because women don't say okay when they ain't got nothing behind it. I'm just saying.
I'm with you. So, and I will be absolutely transparent also with that whole situation. I think this is, and I haven't had a conversation with Winter about this. We probably will somewhere in the near future because I'm just, everything's been moving so fast. So we've chatted via text real quick. I've been busy. She's been busy, whatever cases, right? So I want to have that conversation with, and I'm sure I'll probably have it this week because this is the one thing that we see differently or disagree on. And I'm going to go back to the footage that everybody, because, people talk about, oh, well, behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. Let me go to the footage that everybody saw. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that Winter's lying. I think that for some reason, I honestly think that there's another conversation that we had because at one point it was close between, okay, now I'm starting to get to know Winter more. Joy is still my number one, but Winter is like, because we spent more time, then it's like, oh, wow, okay, that we do have something here. And that connection was growing, just as the one with Edwin and Joy was growing at the same time. And so, because you have to realize there's all these relationships that are building simultaneously. I'm building one with Joy, and I'm also building one with Winter, and then Winter is also building one with Edwin and Anthony, and then Joy is also building one with Edwin, right? And so everything is constantly changing. So to get back to that part, when you go back and you look at when I left to go be with Joy, this is literally sequentially how everything happened. Joy's sister passed. They called for me to come be with Joy. I went to Joy's room. I helped her, kind of get ready and packed and that type of stuff. There was another one of the assistants that came in and helped her get packed as well. And when we, from the time that I went to her room, I didn't leave her room until I walked her to the car. Yeah. And after she walked from the car, I was emotionally distraught. I had to be strong because she was feeling at the time. And so once she left, I then got a chance to process a little bit. But if you saw the scene where I was actually on the fishing on the lake, she had a 2.5-hour drive back to the airport. I didn't want her to do that alone and dealing with the emotions with some stranger driving her. And so I was on the phone with her the entire, I could probably say like 90%. I think she had to get off the phone because a friend met her or so whatever cases. So I was on the phone with her the entire time. So that's 2.5 hours after we find out after she leaves, right? And then I go to my room and I have to make some decisions about what I'm going to do. The producers come in, the one for Will Packard and the one for Owen, and I have a conversation with them about, the next steps. I decide that I want to leave at that point, and then they tell me, okay, well, you need to pack, and then we'll set you up for the next flight out tomorrow or something like that. I think it was the second flight that left the next morning or afternoon, but we need you to do some interviews, and you can't tell anybody that you're leaving because we want to get their actual reaction. Hey, no problem. I packed my stuff. I then put my bags back in the place where I had them stored in my room. So that way nobody could tell that I packed. So I left some things out. I left some shirts out, whatever cases that I could quickly fold up and put in the bag. And then at that point, Edwin had come to my room that night, and Edwin was distraught as well. I mean, because he had this deep connection with Joy too. And so he's like, man, what are you going to do? And I couldn't tell him anything. My bags was already packed. He didn't even know. And I was like, man, he was like, oh, I don't know if I want to leave or this and that. I said, man, make whatever decision you need to make for yourself, because at this point, I understand, like, how would you move forward with this process? But do whatever you need to do, bro. I got your back. I support you. Cool. Next morning, I get up and I start doing interviews. As I'm walking down the hallway, there's a guy that, I don't want to say his name, but he's basically who handles us in getting us in and out of our rooms, our devices, blah, 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 blah. I see him and I say, hey, man, I got to go do these interviews, but I have everything packed and I'm ready to go. He's like, where are you going? He doesn't even know. They didn't tell him. This was a high level, nobody knows, like, that I'm leaving the show, whatever case of decision. I hadn't told anybody. I didn't even tell Edwin, who I considered a friend. The guy that was working for the network didn't even know. And I was like, he's like, you're leaving? What? And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna go do this interview. And I realized at that point, I was like, oh, they've kept this top secret. Cool. Do my interviews. I'm still in tears, bro. Because I have the sound of Joy crying. This is my friend. This is somebody that I care about. And I'm a hot mess, bro. I'm trying to keep it together. And so they're like, okay, well, now you got to go do the scene with Winter. When Winter walks up to me, what does she say? Where are you? I've been looking for you. I haven't seen you. And then I tell her about my decision to leave. They had me say, hey, have a conversation, whatever cases, and then break it to her. That was when she found out. She's the first person that I told, other than the guy that worked for the network, that didn't know, right? And so when you get to the show and it's like, we didn't have this conversation and you didn't tell me how hard it was. No, we didn't. We didn't. And I'm very cautious. And if you notice, I never defend myself against the women, because as a man, arguing with a woman can be seen as aggressive. And that's just not a good look. And so I was like, when did we do that? Like when I'd already packed my bags? And that's what I was talking about. Because they wouldn't I was in my room. They were like top security. You saw they had cameras on the hallway, blah, 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 blah. So we definitely see that different. And that's the exact chronological order of how things happen. And then after I did my last interview, I got into whatever. It wasn't a taxi, but we had a driver that drove us to the airport. I said my goodbyes. I shot those scenes, and that was it. So there was no conversation there wasn't a conversation had. And on top of that, it goes back to that feeling of emotional security in talking to somebody. And I at that point, I wouldn't have had that conversation because I didn't feel that comfortable. That would have been an extremely emotional conversation for me to have with anybody. Whenever I did my interviews, I was extremely emotional. I had to ask them to pause for a second, and I would get myself together and then finish the interview.
So are you saying, in a sense, that, without making it very black and white, that because Winter's obviously saying that you had a conversation saying it was a very hard conversation. That means that conversation doesn't happen.
We had some other conversations about, I think, honestly, because I'm not calling Winter a liar.
I do want to make it that black and white. I said that you're saying that. Yeah, but obviously she's interpreting that a conversation has been had.
Yeah.
As that.
And sometimes with people, like, I can feel a certain kind of way, and then my emotions become the facts. Okay. If I'm emotionally led person, right? But the facts are still the facts, right? And so that's literally, and I wasn't at liberty to go have conversations with people and this and that, nor did I want to be. I was messed up, Jack. I ain't gonna lie. I was messed up. I haven't felt that way in years, emotionally. I think, being that distraught, probably my own divorce, to be honest with you. And so I'm just not that type of person. I'm very emotionally guarded, as you know from watching the show, right? And so, number one, it's illogical for me to have that conversation, being emotionally guarded. Number two, the way that they protect certain things and they want to get people's genuine reactions, it wasn't something that happened. Otherwise, you would have seen video footage of her walking to my room the night before. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just didn't happen. So I respect her, and then there's all love between the two of us, but we do see that one point differently. And I haven't had a conversation with her about it. But I look forward to it though. And it's not like it's, we need a mediator to have. I saw her last night for her birthday. went out to club. We got, pictures, all the above, and, hung out and danced together, whatever cases. It's all love. Like, it's not, we're cool. We're cool.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I'll end it on this kind of note. I mean, obviously, like I said, she's obviously saying, okay. So that's why I wanted to ask you, definitely. So I just need a yes or no answer. Okay. There is nothing else behind it.
Nothing behind it. Not on mine. I mean, the conversation that literally everything that I just told you, from the time that I found out about Joy's sister to pretty much me leaving and doing an interview, so forth. So my first time, I'll say this. In fact, my first conversation with Winter after the passing of Joy's sister, other than the small interactions that we had, like when we shot scenes, was on the bench. Yeah. And from a studio perspective, they would have wanted that way also. But from a personal perspective, because I process my emotions to myself. I don't process my emotions to other people, And if I need like somebody to help me process it, then it's somebody that I've known for 20 years. It's somebody that I feel emotionally okay with being vulnerable. I'm just not the type of guy that's automatically emotionally vulnerable with somebody, like that. And so it's just not a conversation that I would have had. I respect Winter 100%. I just think that we both see it differently. But we did have other conversations at other times about the process and it becoming difficult and all that type of stuff. Because I don't date multiple women like that in my real life. And so seeing her emotionally committed to me and going through our process and never wanting to see somebody hurt. If you notice that, like even with, Simone, when she would start crying and someone, I'm like, okay, well, what, I want to fix it. Like, I don't want to see a woman cry. As a man, I don't. So, I'll be very complimentary. Like, I think you're amazing, this and that, blah, blah. Even if you're not the one for me, I just don't want you to feel like crap. I'm just not that way. I think of, when I see women sometimes, I think of my daughter growing up and how is a man going to deal with her later? You know what I mean? I want him to deal with my daughter and take care of emotions as much as possible. So even if I have to deliver bad news to you, I'm still going to compliment you on the type of person you are, because you can still be a great person and not be somebody that I connect with. So even with Simone, when I was like, I'm going to keep it pushing, I was still on she's a beautiful woman. She's smart. And even today, when I talk about Simone, she's beautiful. She's smart. It just wasn't the vibe for me, It doesn't make them bad people.
I appreciate that. Jay, thank you so much, man, for coming on here. We're definitely going to drop a part 2. We'll talk behind the scenes. We'll drop a part 2, you know what I'm saying? We'll choose a time. You know what I mean? I put you a little bit on the spot, you know what I'm saying? I put you a little bit on the spot, you know what I'm saying?
I
appreciate
came
that.
here with full knowledge that it's
just a little pepper
to go down. Like, it's
just
cool.
A little bit of pepper.
Yeah.
Pepper.
And I wouldn't have wanted it any other way, man. When I tell you, after having the gag orders and all that type of stuff, like, it feels good to talk about it. Because I'm going to talk about it once, and then I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to give you what you want, dog.
The audience are all screaming. They're screaming for me to do Winter as well. They're asking me to do Winter, but we'll see in it, guys. I don't know. We'll see. You guys message her and see if she'll reply to me and get me. But, Jay, thank you so much. Honestly, I appreciate it, man. It's been an open and honest conversation. It's been deep. We've hit some stuff. Yeah, man, we will go again, we'll catch up properly, do you know what I'm saying? And talk some man stuff.
I appreciate all your viewers for viewing in, man, for joining in, and thank y'all for following us on this journey, man. This is I won't speak for the other cast members, but I know that we've all spoken, and it's like this was extremely it's definitely a different process, and I appreciate all the feedback, even the people that you ain't, okay, cool, I appreciate that, you know what I mean? But the only thing we can do is show up who we are, and then also in seeing ourselves. It gives me an opportunity to look at some behaviors that, and even in watching your reviews of me, to say, okay, you know what, I can do that differently. I can be more honest and transparent. And I literally talked to two, after I watched your review, I actually talked to 2 of my ex-girlfriends that I had conversations with them, and I actually showed them the review. And I was like, I should have done this better with you. I should have done this better with you. And I thought that I was being the man that I wanted to be, but I could have been better. And I apologize. And, they're like, no, I never, but I'm still responsible for the energy and the communication that I give as a man. And I will always hold myself responsible for that, because nobody else is, right? And then whatever we get back a lot of times is a mirror of the energy that we gave off to somebody. And so, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for, for doing the interview with me, man, and
Right,
allowing me to see myself in a different light. Because I'm not always right, bro. But I am man enough to say I didn't do that right.
I appreciate it, bro. Love. Audience members, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Maybe I might have a special live later on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know you guys wanna give their view and opinions. This is what you do, Jay. You've caused it. You've caused it. You know what I'm saying? You've caused it.
I told you I was gonna be transparent, honest, and straight to the point, man. And and as man to man, I gave you my word on that, and I stayed true to it. And like I said, I had an analogy yesterday when I was talking to Adriana, and I was like, look, you can walk across the street, 10 people see you. 5 people gonna think you did it right. Some 5 people gonna think you did it wrong. At the end of the day, you're responsible for how you chose to walk across the street and what you did and didn't do. What somebody thinks of it is gonna be up to them and how they're feeling and all those other things that aren't factors that you're in control of. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to walk across the street, and we'll figure out from there.
I appreciate it, man. Love for that, bro.
Big homie, man.
Big homie, man.
Shout out from across the pond, bro.
I appreciate it, man. GG's. Audience members, thank you, man. Be out, baby.